the day I played this, going, who is Ray Feldman? I'm Maury's the sales manager on Variety. In fact, Maury called the show yesterday. I saw Joe in the hall yesterday. I said, you don't mind that I'm playing this. Well, maybe you give it a rest. But we're not going to give it a rest. I refuse to give it a rest because it's too damn funny. Anyway, this happened on the O'Brien and Gary show the other day. And again, Joe, you know I love you. You're a hell of a talent. I've done 1,000,001 similar things, except I knew that I screwed up. Joe had to be told. Alan Bowl called. Joe, this is... And Joe said, in English, Alan, in English. Anyway, here it is. This is from the other morning.
Age agreement inside and out to make sure they'll have a worry-free retirement. Coming up next, actor Maury Feldman is dead. WCAE News Sign 805.
Oh, God. Because, again, it's happened to everybody. You just do stuff. I did the thing. I've told millions of stories on this show about dumb things that I've done. Do you remember when we were on the other station? This is Jimmy. Bob, you might remember, too. Had to read these damn live spots for Pat.
Oh, I was there. Do
you remember the punchline? It was ride Pat for a nickel.
Right.
And I got a room full of guys, and I got to do live copy. This does ride Pat only a nickel. That's all it costs. And the guys just started throwing lines. And one night, I don't remember what was said. I don't remember who said it.
It was Burns.
I think it was Burns. Burns could be very funny. And whoever said whatever they said, I started laughing so hard. I could not get through the commercial. I just couldn't get through the commercial because, and then somebody else would blow a line out, and I would blow, and it got quite dirty, and it was just very, very funny. We had a bit here not too long ago, Blazing Saddles, and remind me to talk about Blazing Saddles and the contest when we come out of the break. Lawrence had the Blazing Saddles, the Dom DeLuise bit. All right. Hold out your hand, stick out your tush, shout out, and Don DeLuise goes to the megaphone. Wrong! Okay, and he starts berating these guys. Sounds like steam. He does all these bits, okay? And he wants to show them how to do it. He says, it's so simple! And he starts to walk toward them. He's got the beret and the megaphone on, and there's a puddle. It's part of the set, all right? And he puts his foot in the puddle, all right? Well, Lawrence plays this thing. And I hear, wrong, it's so simple. And it's very, very funny. Now, I know the bit by heart. The next line that he utters is a 4-letter word that I can't say on the air. But some stations say it, but we don't say it here. So I just assume that that's all we're going to hear. All right? It's so simple. And the guy walks over in the puddle. I got the headphones on. I hear, it's so simple. I hear the puddle. Then I hear the 4-letter word. Now, the first reaction that you have when you're on air is, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. No, I didn't hear that. Then a little voice is saying, oh, geez, I heard it. Oh, God, oh, please tell me I did. Oh, please. And Lawrence is in the other room. The man turned 50 different colors. He was so embarrassed. I started laughing. I don't know if any of you guys heard the show, the question. I started laughing so hard I could barely finish the show. The boss, bless his heart, great sense of humor, he walks in and says to Lawrence, using that profanity, hey, Lawrence, bleep happens, and he walked out. But it was just, and I was told later, we didn't have a single complaint call about that word going out on the air. Not a single one. Well, number one, it was my show. You know, big deal. Mr.
Like
TNA.
your crowd's going to complain about that word.
My crowd defended pornography.
They want more. They want
exactly.
more. We just thought you were taking your show to another level.
That's exactly. No, I mean, I did a bit the other day. Let's speak out in favor of pornography. The phones blew off the hook. That's the kind of crowd I got.
That's your bill. That's your people.
Yeah, that's my folk, and I'm very glad to have them. But you know, there's always some old lady going, Harvey, I love it. What is? Oh, call Perry. There's always somebody ready to take offense because they think that, you know, if you hear a word like that, I don't know, you'll go blind or some damn fool thing. I heard a word. You know, go crazy. But I guess because there was so much laughter involved, so much merriment involved, so much embarrassment, because you never heard Lawrence ever got on the air. I just did a ton of bits, and it was a fairly funny moment in broadcasting history.
A couple of weeks ago when you were reading that thing about that restaurant on Liberty Avenue downtown, the Arby's. I'll mention the name.
Oh yeah.
When you were reading about the the
spitting thing.
The spitting thing. That was.
Well, I've done.
You were doing that uncontrollable laughter, especially you read the owner's name and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
that
see, that was intended to be funny. I mean, I did that knowing that if I did it right, I'd try to do that by reading it in accent and all the rest of it. I mean, this is something you look at and say, gee, maybe I can work something funny out of it. When it's something that's unintentionally funny, that's not. I mean, the show itself is not scripted. God, one little piece of paper is all I walk in here with every day, and some days it sounds like it. But my point is that, you have something in front of you, well, I'll read this, maybe it'll be funny, maybe it won't, who the hell knows, and then you ad-lib it as you go along. What voice do I put in, blah, blah, blah. But when something is just so totally out of left field, as that four-letter word was, it's like,
or as your talent show used to be. There was a lot of things. That was great.
Yeah, I'm celebrating, by the way, 16 years in Pittsburgh. This is it. 16 years ago, Monday, November the 2nd, 1980, my first show on the old WWSW AM, 7 to midnight, did the oldies on Sunday, later WTKM, but this was my first night in town. My first night on the air. My first week. Interesting sidebar, little showbiz story. In those days, they had the Penguins. Nobody cared about the Penguins. In fact, the way the Penguins are going, a week or two, nobody will care. The Penguins were the Pirates when I got to town in 80, 81. So the first night I'm on the air, I was on for 2.5 hours. Penguins were in Vancouver, as I recall. The next night, I have an even bigger showstopper interrupting my show. Something else that people really cared about in this town. Penn State basketball. Very excited. Okay? Penn State basketball. Oh, boy. Big thrill. Now, Joe Paterno's brother, does Penn State football. On this, Joe Paterno's dog was the color commentator. Like that. Very exciting stuff. So I had them the second night. The third night, I had the Penguins again. The second night. My first night I had the hockey. The second night was election night. So they had news coverage, all right? That's right. And I was on for like about 2 seconds in this 5 hours of election coverage. The third night was the Penn State basketball. Fran Fisher, was that the man's name?
Fran Fisher, yeah.
Did he do basketball too?
And football, right.
And football.
Okay. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Fran Allison is aboard with us, okay? Fran Fisher.
Tarkington.
Yeah, and again, not that he's a bad guy, but nobody gave a crap, and probably still don't. The fourth night we had hockey. Finally, the fifth night I get on. I do my song and dance. Second week, interruptions up the wazoo again. The third week, I'm happy to say, there's no hockey, there's no basketball, there's no nothing. No, there's a psychic. Paige Bryant. One of America's greats. I'll finish this story when we come back on Talk Radio 1250 WTAE.
Hey, Pittsburgh bowlers. Professional bowling is rolling back into town on Tuesday, November 12th. I'm 11-time PBA champion Parker Bonus.
WTAE. Speak for yourself. Talk Radio 333 WTAE.
It is 21 minutes before 11 o'clock. Doug Hoerth on Talk Radio 1250. WTA, the infamous Saturday show. Jeff Hyde, Joel Benucci, Bob Kaspirik, and Jimmy Howler. I don't know if this story's that funny or not. It's such a radio story. So the first week I'm on the air. Again, this is 16 years in Pittsburgh radio. There ain't that many people, by the way, that have been here longer on the radio. Think about this now. And I'm talking continuous on the air. I mean, there's a couple times I was out of work. There were people who've been here longer, like Saverin's been here longer, but is Savrin still on the radio somewhere?
Yeah.
Well, no mention call letters. Is he still on
he's
somewhere?
on the FM side on the, yeah.
But not on a regular basis anymore.
Well, no, not a show.
Not a show.
Not a show.
He's like featured. Okay, well, Stan's been here longer. Stan has been here longer. I'd even bet Junker's been here longer, but I'm not sure if he's been on the air longer. And John Steigerwald is, there's a lot of people that have been here longer, but John's not on the radio anymore.
Right.
If John does radio, he probably does a morning show, guest spot, something like that. But Saverin would be one guy, but again, Stan is no longer radio. The only ones I can think of, okay, and some are continuous, some are not continuous, Cigna.
Right, yeah.
Hansberger's been here longer, but Hansberger has not been doing a talk show that many years. Hansberger didn't start the talk show until 83 or 84, all right? Pintek has been here longer, but Pintek didn't start his talk show until 84, 85, somewhere in there. I can't think of anybody over there. Maybe Barbara, what's her name? Barbara, the girl. Barbara Boylan.
Boylan?
Possibly. But again, now we're not talking somebody with a show, all right? All the old-timers over there are gone.
What about Dave James?
That's what Dave James would be one too. But let's just talk guys who had their own show. All right, let's leave news out because Alan's been here 100
You're second.
years, all right.
You'd have to be second.
Well, Quinn has been here.
Okay.
Since the 60s.
All right, I forgot about him.
Quinn has been here, and he's been on the air almost continuously since the 1960s. Well, let's start with the AM side. All right, let's go to the AM. We'll just talk guys who do shows, music shows,
Porky.
All right? Well, Porky.
Porky be number one.
All right, so Porky be number one. Porky's been on the air continuously.
1948.
Okay? Chili Billy, but I'm not sure that Chili Billy did a radio show all the time. There were periods of time, and
He did it in a
I know, he
70s.
did a morning show for a period of time.
He did a music show on 13Q.
Wheeler wasn't continuous. Wheeler left for years and came back. All right, and I don't know who else is over there. I think that would be pretty much it.
Well,
so I'll say Porky and Chili. All right,
okay.
And Cigna. Okay, we're talking continuously on the air now because Freddie was originally a news guy. That's 3. Quinn. I can't think of anybody else on the
That's
game.
it.
There are news guys. Now that I think about it, KQV's got news guys.
PJ.
They got news that have been there 100 years. Yeah, so I got a ways to go yet, now that I think about it. And then on the FM, Quinn, Roach, but Roach was not continuous. Roach, they left for a period of time, went to Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Right. But Roach, we figured that Roach had been on the FM longer than anybody in town.
Mark's
the FM personality. No, but Roach goes back earlier than that. Roach goes back to 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, because Jimmy called one day. We got into this bit one day. Who was on the air longer than anybody else? All right. We figured on news, because Paul Long was still here at the time. We figured Paul. Now come on in, Alan. Now I'd say Alan.
Alan has been.
Oh,
Alan's probably been on long.
He's got to be the dean.
Excuse me? And news people. Yeah, you're it.
You're the dean of newscasters in this town.
Well, part of the time in TV, but also.
Yeah, but on radio today.
Right here, 28 years.
28 years.
How much time did you spend on TV?
How much time were you on? 48 years?
How much time were you on TV, Al?
About 10 years.
10 years. Okay. So Alan would be the news guy on radio.
I remember when Alan.
Roach on FM. Okay. Now again, Jimmy went away for a time. Jimmy and Steve went to.
They went to Fort Lauderdale.
Jimmy and Steve. Yeah, they went to Fort Lauderdale and then came back. But Jimmy goes back to the 60s. Quinn's probably right up there.
Yeah, he was mid to late 60s when he started on.
Yeah, but Quinn was on AM. Quinn was on AM. Jimmy was always on FM. Roach was always on FM. Quinn was on AM. Quinn was on AM on the old KQV.
Yeah,
right. Quinn goes back 60, this is a guess now, 68, 69. You think earlier than that, really?
How about Mad Mike?
I don't think so. I don't think he goes back, but you may be right. Who?
How about Mad Mike?
Is he still on?
Oh, Mike.
He's been
Mike
on
has been on and off. Mike has been on and off, and I don't consider Mike Pittsburgh more suburban.
Yeah.
Who else? Jim DeCesar from WYDD, now on in Greensburg. I don't even know the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's also Greensburg. That's not Pittsburgh. I'm talking Pittsburgh.
How long was Chuck Brinkman on?
Yeah, but Brinkman's been gone for
No, that's
years.
what I'm saying.
He doesn't count.
Yeah. But how long was he on?
Well, Brinkman started in the
mid-60s, too?
Bill Brandt.
Early 60s.
Bill Brandt worked up to a couple years ago, too, and he was on a long time.
Yeah, I'm talking about guys who are still on.
Still on.
All right.
Yeah.
So to go back to FM, okay, Roach, Quinn, Hanson, and Merck.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Merkel. Merkel was there when I got there, and I'm going to bet that Merck was on the old WPEZ, 78, 79. When I first met Merkel, he was, I don't want to say how old he was then because I've given away his age now, and I don't tell my age. Why should I tell Merck? But Merck was a very young guy, a very young man. Oh, he's been on a long time. But I can't think of anybody else on
I can't think of anybody.
If anybody can out there on radio. I mean, there are polka shows that have been on 9 million years, and they did a thing on Italian shows in the paper.
Yeah, McKeesport has guys who have been on a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely positive.
George Bose has been on for years.
Yeah, if anybody think of anybody else who's not a polka show or an Italian show or a Yiddish show, whatever the hell it is. The Joe Franklin Show. 333 WTAE.
Doug Hoerth, weekday afternoons 3 to 6 on Talk Radio 1250 WTAE.
Hey, what's he really like?
Doug Hoerth, he's kind of like an uncle you might have, a little obnoxious, kind of bent, pretty weird, and you don't always agree with what he says, but, you love him anyhow.
Oh, yeah. He was a wackadoo even back then. Newt Gingrich looks like he's on cortisone or something. I mean,
Pittsburgh's Uncle Dougie. Doug Hoerth, weekday afternoons 3 to 6 on Talk Radio 1250 WTAE.
This is James